you're watching this video, I'm guessing that you're desperately trying to get an assistant psychologist job. I've been there and know how difficult it can be. In this video, I'm going to share with you a few tips that helped me to get an assistant psychologist job prior to getting on to clinical training. The first tip is really simple, and that is just to check the job description and the person specification really carefully. You'd be surprised at how many people don't do this. They're so keen to apply for the job that they miss out crucial details as part of the application process. And if you do this, then your application is not going to stand much chance of getting through. Applying for assistant psychologist job is really competitive, and any small error is likely to get your application dismissed, so don't fall at this early stage. The next tip is about the relevant experience. If you have some experience, you might want to demonstrate in your application how this applies to the job that they're advertising. For example, if you've formed good working relationships with clients or run different groups and engaged people in therapeutic interventions, that's all relevant experience, and you can say what you learned from this in your application and how it will be important in the job you're applying for. The third tip relates to your personal statement or your supporting information. Getting an assistant psychologist job is actually really hard, and it's really competitive. Job applications go up and are often taken down quite quickly because there's so many people that have applied for them. If you're trying to get different jobs, I found it helpful to have different types of personal statements. For example, if I was applying for a research assistant job or a more research-based assistant psychologist job, then I would have a specific personal statement relating to those set of skills. If you're applying for a job that's working in community mental health, you might have a different personal statement demonstrating how your experience relates to those kind of jobs. Now, the next tip is a brief one relating to interviews. So let's say you've done all the hard work and you've been invited to an interview. Now, that's a whole different video on how to conduct yourself in an interview, but there are a few things you can start to do. First of all, research the service that you're applying to. What kind of work do they do? What kind of therapies do they offer? Is it individual? Is it group? Do they support carers? Is it a more research-based role? If so, look at the different publications that the psychologists who work there have made and see what kind of approach they take to different ways of working. Also, I would look at the different difficulties that the service is working in and try to understand some of the main theories and ideas and interventions that they are likely to use. Usually the service has a website, and the trust will have a website too. Looking there is a great place to start. Another thing you can do when starting to prepare for the interview is to reflect on your own experience. For example, there might be things you've done which you're really proud of in terms of clinical practice or helping others through difficult times. Think about why you were able to do this, what did you learn from it, and how that learning can be useful in this new job. Also, there might be things which didn't quite go so well, and that is absolutely fine because we're all human and these things happen. The important thing is to reflect on it and learn from it. So if something didn't go the way that you thought it would, why was it? What did you learn? What would you do differently next time? And how does this learning apply to your new role? A final tip is to get feedback at all the different stages of the application. Ask people you know to review your application for it. This could be a qualified psychologist, it could be a manager of a service, or it could be one of your friends who already has an assistant psychologist role. This is a good way, first of all, to check for typos and to make sure it actually makes sense what you've written. Also, it might highlight what things which aren't clear. As we all know, when you read things over and over again, you can start to read what you want and miss out crucial details. I would also have practice interviews if you can. Now, it might be difficult to access people who can offer you that time, but often if there's people you've worked with or previous employees that are in the general area, they might be able to help you go through the process. Ideally, it would be a clinical psychologist if that's who you're going to be working with, but it doesn't have to be. There are lots of aspiring psychologist groups and different forums online that might be able to help with this. Those are the few tips that really helped me to get a few more interviews and then get different paid assistant jobs or research assistant jobs before I was on training. Some of them are quite basic, however, they can be easily missed, so go through some of these steps and I wish you all the best in getting a new assistant psychology job.